You open your fridge. Inside, food waits, perfectly preserved, abundant, gleaming under the cool, artificial light. The crisp air wafts out, carrying the faint, clean scent of fresh produce and dairy. For 4.8 million years of human history, that moment was impossible. This effortless access, this vibrant display of sustenance, is a radical departure from the norm. Everything you think you know about finding food was shaped by the last tiny fraction of human existence, a mere blink in geological time. Before that, every single meal was a negotiation with death. It was a constant, gnawing anxiety, a perpetual search for calories that were often guarded by something impossibly fast, impossibly strong, something ancient, feathered, and furious. The deep primal programs still running within you, the ones that drive your cravings for fat and sugar, your instinct to hoard, your very metabolism, they were forged in this crucible of scarcity and danger. And what you're about to discover changes how you see every calorie you've ever consumed, revealing the profound, ancestral struggle embedded within your very being. Imagine a world where the horizon stretched, unbroken, under a vast, indifferent sky. This was East Africa, 4.8 million years ago, during the Pliocene epoch, a period known for its dynamic landscapes and emerging hominids. The land was a mosaic of open savanna grasslands, interspersed with acacia woodlands and gallery forests along ancient riverbeds, all baking under a relentless equatorial sun. It was hot, dusty, and teeming with life and death. Your ancestors, species like Australopithecus afarensis, walked upright across this savanna, their bipedal gait a slow, deliberate rhythm against the shimmering heat haze. They were small-brained, with cranial capacities averaging around 400 to 500 cubic centimeters, barely taller than a modern human child, perhaps 3.5 to 5 feet tall, weighing maybe 90 pounds. And they were, by every measure, prey. The air smelled of dust kicked up by countless hooves, of sun-baked wild grass, of the distant, hopeful scent of rain on dry earth. It also carried the metallic tang of blood from a fresh kill on the wind. Sounds carried for miles. The guttural roar of a saber-toothed cat, like Dinophelis. The low, rumbling groan of a giant proboscidean ancestor, like Dinotherium. And there were the ominous, thudding footsteps of the largest bird on the continent, a sound that would send shivers down an Australopithecus missl's spine. This constant vulnerability meant that every waking moment was a study in vigilance, shaping their social structures and their very perception of the world. This was Struthio oldawayi, the giant ostrich, a magnificent and terrifying avian behemoth. This was not the relatively docile modern ostrich you might see in a zoo or on a nature documentary. This formidable bird stood up to 10 feet tall, its long, powerful neck topped by a small, alert head with piercing eyes. It weighed over 400 pounds, its massive body covered in coarse, shaggy feathers that often looked dusty and worn from the relentless sun and wind. Its legs were thick, muscular columns, anchored by two-toed feet. Each was capable of delivering a kick with an estimated 500 pounds of pressure, enough force to shatter the femur of a large antelope, or, indeed, the fragile bones of an early hominid. And it could run, 45 miles per hour, sustained, a blur across the savanna, leaving a trail of dust in its wake. No early hominid, no matter how desperate, could outrun this creature, nor could they hope to engage it in a direct confrontation. The very name ostrich carries a long history. It traces back through Old French ostriche to the vulgar Latin avis struthio, which combines the Latin avis for bird with struthio for ostrich. This latter term, struthio, is itself derived from the ancient Greek struthion, a diminutive of struthos, meaning sparrow, or, more broadly, large bird. Thus, even in its linguistic roots, the ostrich is recognized as a significant avian presence. And yet, this terrifying bird held a secret, a concentrated bounty of life, its eggs. A single giant ostrich egg was a prize beyond measure. It was the size of a volleyball, its shell a thick, pale beige, almost ceramic-like to the touch, packed with protein and fat. A single egg could provide 2,000 to 3,000 calories, a staggering amount for a calorie-starved hominid. That was enough to feed a small group of hominids for a day, potentially staving off starvation for an entire family unit. But how do you get that prize from a creature that could kill you with one swift, brutal strike? What impossible gamble did your ancestors have to make just to survive another day? And what incredible ingenuity did it spark? In 1981, the paleoanthropologist C.K. Brain published The Hunters or the Hunted, an introduction to African cave taphonomy. This was a groundbreaking analysis of early hominid predator-prey relationships, gleaned from meticulously excavated South African cave sites like Swartkrans and Kromdraai. Brain's work fundamentally shifted our understanding of our early ancestors, challenging the prevailing man-the-hunter narrative of the mid-20th century. Through his detailed examination of fossilized bones, looking for patterns of breakage, tooth marks from carnivores, and the rare, telltale signs of hominid modification, he showed that early hominids were not primarily the apex hunters often depicted. Instead, they were frequently the hunted, a regular food source for large, formidable predators. These included saber-toothed cats like Meganterion and Dinofelis, and the massive, bone-crushing giant hyenas, Gasmaporthetes. Brain's meticulous taphonomic studies, analyzing how bones accumulate and are modified in the fossil record, painted a stark picture of vulnerability, and yet they persisted. His findings revealed a world where cunning, not brute strength, was the paramount key to survival. This implication was profound. Hominid evolution wasn't just about avoiding being eaten. It was about developing complex cognitive strategies to navigate a hostile world. And this cunning extended to actively exploiting dangerous but calorie-rich resources, transforming threats into opportunities. Think about what that means. Your ancestors weren't just passively scavenging leftovers. They were actively seeking out the most dangerous meals that demanded intelligence and strategic thinking to acquire, pushing the boundaries of their ingenuity. The giant ostrich egg was one such meal, representing a unique and tantalizing risk-reward calculation that defined a significant aspect of early hominid foraging strategies. Hunting a large mammal like an antelope or a zebra ancestor was often beyond their physical capabilities, lacking the speed, strength, and sophisticated weaponry. Smaller prey, while safer, offered far fewer calories for the immense effort expended in pursuit and capture, making it an inefficient strategy for sustained survival. But the egg was different. It was a concentrated, portable energy source, a biological marvel of sustenance. It was a perfect, self-contained package of survival, a dense cache of protein and fat encased in a robust shell. And the only way to get it was to outwit a creature that was faster and stronger than anything they could hope to fight. This was a creature whose protective instincts were fierce and lethal. This wasn't a casual foraging trip through a berry patch. It was a calculated raid, a high-stakes operation demanding precise execution. It demanded acute observation of the bird's habits and nesting patterns, meticulous planning of the approach and escape, and seamless teamwork under immense pressure. One hominid, perhaps the most agile or courageous, might create a diversion. They would draw the furious parent bird away from its nest with a thrown rock, a sudden piercing shout, or even a feigned attack. While the giant ostrich was distracted, another hominid, swift and silent, would move in, snatching the massive egg from the dusty nest, its rough, heavy shell a tangible promise of life. This high-stakes gamble wasn't a rare occurrence, an isolated act of desperation. It was a recurring challenge that honed their cooperative skills, their problem-solving abilities, and their capacity for complex social coordination, laying the groundwork for more advanced human behaviors. After the perilous acquisition, the act of consuming the giant ostrich egg was a moment of profound relief and immediate life-sustaining reward. the hominids would retreat to a relatively safe location, perhaps a rocky outcrop or a dense thicket, away from the enraged parent bird. There, with crude tools, likely a heavy stone, they would carefully but forcefully crack open the thick, resilient shell, revealing the rich, golden yolk and viscous albumin within. The air would fill with the earthy, slightly sulfuric scent of the raw egg, a smell that, for these ancestors, signified survival. Each mouthful, consumed quickly and often communally, delivered a powerful surge of energy. This concentrated intake of fat, protein, and essential vitamins was not merely sustenance, it was a vital lifeline. For small, calorie-stressed hominids, this sudden influx of 2,000 to 3,000 calories could mean the difference between life and death, fueling their bodies for days and providing critical energy for growth and repair. More than just physical nourishment, the shared consumption of such a hard-won prize would have been a powerful act of social bonding. The experience of collective risk and shared reward reinforced group cohesion, fostered reciprocal altruism, and likely cemented early forms of social hierarchy or cooperation. This communal feast was not just about satisfying hunger. It was a deeply social event, strengthening the bonds that were essential for continued survival in a world where individual vulnerability was overwhelming. This recurring challenge, this impossible gamble, left an indelible mark on hominid evolution, fostering behavioral adaptations and driving significant cognitive development over millions of years. The repeated need to outwit Struthio, oldawayi, and other dangerous creatures demanded sophisticated problem-solving skills. Hominids had to develop keen observational abilities to track the birds, understand their nesting habits, and predict their movements. This led to enhanced spatial memory, allowing them to recall the locations of nests across vast territories and over different seasons. The development of rudimentary tool use was also likely spurred by such challenges. While the egg itself was a complete package, cracking its thick shell efficiently without losing precious contents would have required specific stones, perhaps selected for their weight and sharp edges, marking an early step in Oldowan tool technology. The planning and execution of these raids honed their capacity for foresight and delayed gratification. This meant waiting for the opportune moment, coordinating complex actions, and anticipating the bird's reaction. This continuous pressure to assess risk, plan strategically, and cooperate effectively pushed the boundaries of early hominid intelligence, laying crucial groundwork for the cognitive leaps that would follow. The seemingly simple act of stealing an egg was, in reality, a powerful evolutionary driver. It transformed a vulnerable prey species into cunning strategists, setting the stage for the eventual transition from the hunted to the dominant hunter. Bringing it back to the present, the echoes of this ancient struggle resonate deeply within us today, shaping our modern relationship with food in profound ways. The primal programs mentioned at the outset, forged in the crucible of constant scarcity and danger, are still running within the wiring of your own body. That moment of opening your fridge, gazing at its perfectly preserved abundance, is a luxury that our ancestors could only dream of. Our bodies are still wired for scarcity, a legacy of millions of years of foraging. This explains our innate preference for calorie-dense foods, the sugars, fats, and salts that were so rare and vital in the Pliocene savanna. It explains our tendency to store fat, an evolutionary adaptation to buffer against unpredictable periods of hunger, a stark contrast to our current struggle with overabundance. Our anxieties around food security, even in times of plenty, and the deep satisfaction derived from a hearty meal are visceral reminders of a time. That was a time when every calorie was a negotiation with death. The collective joy of eating, the communal bonding around a shared table, directly mirrors the social cohesion forged around a hard-won ostrich egg. While the negotiation with death is no longer a daily reality for most of humanity, the instincts, the cravings, and the profound psychological connection to food remain. Every meal you consume, every calorie you absorb, carries the ancient echo of millions of years of ingenious survival. It reminds us of the extraordinary journey from vulnerable prey to the architects of our own abundant world. If you found this fascinating, hit like and subscribe for more stories like this. See you in the next one.